Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really big question for any cooperative out there. Should you be a lone wolf or run with the pack? It's that classic trade-off, right? Total independence versus the strength you get from a group. And believe me, the choice you make has some major, major consequences.
So, what really happens when a co-op decides to just opt out of joining a bigger federation? What are the actual gains you get? And maybe more importantly, what are the hidden costs of all that freedom? Well, let's get into it.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll cover what a federation even is. Then, we'll look at the rights of an independent society. After that, we'll dig into the costs of going solo. And finally, we'll wrap up with the big trade-off.
All right, first things first, let's make sure we're all on the same page about what exactly a cooperative federation is.
The easiest way to think about it is like an alliance, a support network that's built by co-ops for co-ops. The whole idea is to pool their power together. This gives them a much louder, unified voice when it comes to policy, and it gets them access to shared resources, stuff that would just be way too expensive for one single co-op to handle on its own.
So, an unaffiliated society? That's just a co-op that's operating completely outside of this whole collective structure. Now, you might be thinking, if a co-op decides to go it alone, what does that mean for its legal standing? Is it some kind of gray area?
Well, actually, not at all.
And this is a really, really important point. Being unaffiliated does not mean you're illegal, not even close. These independent societies are still totally legit, fully recognized legal entities, and they have protected rights.
Yeah, in fact, if you look at the Cooperative Societies Act, it's spelled out pretty clearly. They keep all their fundamental legal rights. They can own property, they can enter into contracts, they can manage their own business democratically. Their right to just be independent is 100% legally protected.
But, and you knew there was a but coming, right? This is a big one. Choosing that path of complete autonomy, well, it comes with some very real, very practical costs. It's a trade. You're trading the strength of the pack for total, absolute self-governance.
And this right here shows the first huge cost perfectly. Think about it. A lone wolf's howl is just one voice, but a whole pack howling together? Now that gets noticed. When new rules or policies are being discussed, a federation can walk in representing hundreds of co-ops. That gives them a real seat at the table. Meanwhile, the independent co-op? They're just fighting to get in the room.
And, that lack of influence, that's really just the tip of the iceberg. Going it alone means you're missing out on all these critical support systems that federations are designed to provide. And that can lead to some pretty serious operational headaches down the road.
So what kind of help are we really talking about here? Well, think about it. It's things like getting expert advice when you hit a tough spot. Or getting access to cheaper supplies because you're buying in bulk with everyone else. It could even be having a neutral third party to help settle internal disputes. If you're an unaffiliated co-op, you're on your own for all of that. You've got to find it, you've got to pay for it, and you've got to manage it all yourself.
This quote here really just nails it. Being unaffiliated doesn't make a co-op invalid or get it deregistered, but it does mean it loses out on the advantages of that collective strength, guidance, and support. To put it another way, you're legally solid, but you're practically, well, you're on an island.
So, what this all boils down to is a strategic choice, and there's no single right answer here. But it is absolutely vital for every co-op to understand exactly what they're gaining and what they're giving up. This table does a great job of laying out that core trade-off. You've got the lone wolf on one side, total operational independence, which sounds great, but they're also completely on their own when things get tough. Then you've got the pack. They give up a little bit of that independence, sure, but in return, they get the power of a collective voice and this amazing shared safety net of expertise. And ultimately, it's about balance. Every single cooperative has to put these two things on a scale. On one side, total independence. On the other, the power that comes from being part of a larger community. You have to ask, is that absolute freedom to do your own thing worth more than the collective strength, the support, and the influence that comes from running with a pack? Which brings us to the final question, really. Independence or influence? What's the right path for your community? When you're trying to build something that's successful and gonna last, what's more valuable in the long run? That absolute independence or that collective influence? It's a tough question, and it's one every single co-op has to answer for itself.